Welcome to the Lift One Self podcast. I'm your host, Nat Nat, and today I am going to do another Akashic record reading with Amy. And for some of the listeners, this might be something new for you. Other listeners, you're like, woo, I'm in for a delight. Amy's going to explain how she got into doing these readings. She's going to explain what this reading is before we dive into the actual live session. So, Amy, could you introduce yourself to the listeners and let them know a little bit about yourself, how you learned and how you dropped into learning about the readings and exactly what that is?
Sure, yeah. My name's Amy Robeson. I'm an Akashic Record Master teacher, so I teach people how to open their own records and get answers on demand and how to do it for others as well. I also teach my practitioners how to do healings inside the Akashic Records. So for me, I've been intuitive my whole life. You don't have to be intuitive in order to access the records. Everybody is intuitive, but some people don't recognize that they're intuitive. I started receiving premonitions when I was 1.5 years old. I started remembering my dreams since I was a baby. And I grew up in a household that was not predictable. So I grew up with unpredictable parents. So I became an empath really quickly as a kid because I would have to tune into the energy to predict what was going to happen with my parents. And so my stepdad was a severe alcoholic. And so in my 20s, I didn't want to be here. And I started receiving intuitive guidance to start doing hot yoga. And that led me down a path of wanting to explore spirituality, dream interpretations, the Akashic records, and so much more. And so, like, to make a long story short, my how I got into this was just following the energy that presented itself to me. And if my heart was a yes, I did it. If it was a no, I didn't. And it has helped me heal a lot of trauma, and it's helped me rediscover myself in so many different ways.
Yeah. I was at a friend's house yesterday and him and his son, I did a bit of my healing with my singing bowl and grounding them. And the son went really deep. And then when he came out, he was like, well, where did you learn this? I'm like, it's just intuitively. I just know what to do. And then when I worked on his father, my friend, and I touched and I was like, what's this? Like, let go of this. And it's like, I've not seen him so relaxed before. And it's like, where did you learn that? And I'm like, it's just intuitive. I just have this inner knowing of being able to
Yes.
communicate with that nervous system and emotions and allow that nervous system to be regulated so it can release, so you can be in that one self, in that space of oneness, the life force creation, whatever you want to call in the subconscious and below and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to two intuitives being able to communicate and diving deep. Before we go into the session, will you join me in a mindful moment so that we can ground ourselves?
Sure. Do you mind if I share what the records are for everybody
Yeah,
first, or do you want
for
me to do
sure.
that
For
after?
sure.
Okay, so for anybody that doesn't know, the Akashic Records is a field of infinite possibilities. Every word, deed, thought from the moment your soul is incepted is recorded in this Akashic field. You can think about it as like an energetic library of your soul. Some people actually see it as a library. Some people see it as nature. Some people see it as nothing. Like I see it as a field of infinity. So we can open the records, and the guardians, also known as the masters, teachers, and loved ones, can give us love and guidance and support in any and all areas of our life, specifically without judgment. Because what they're doing is they're taking in consideration that you're having a human experience, and they're also taking in consideration where your soul has ever been, what your soul has been through, what your soul is here to do, and what are other future possibilities that your soul wants to achieve and obtain. And so they take all of that into consideration before they give you an answer to the questions that you're asking in the records as well. And so you can think of it as uh, a beautiful cup of tea or coffee with a loved one that's going to give you honest truth, but in a loving, compassionate way.
Thank you for that. And thank you for reminding me because, yeah, some listeners, this is going to be a new thing for them and they've never heard of this. And others, they are very aware. So thank you for that explanation. And most times I've always heard of it as a library. And you're the first that I've heard where it could be nature, it could be different fields that they're accessing the information and stuff. But the majority, it's always a library that they pick
Yeah.
out and they like it's almost like a computer programming and pulling out where it's like, well, why can't it be other modalities and places and stuff like that? So I appreciate the
Yeah.
diversity that you just
The
brought
the
because it's
cool part
usually
is, yeah, it's usually described this one way, and it's because that's that person's perception of it. And that's the cool thing about the Akashic Records is the guardians will speak to you in ways that you understand. And so
Mhm.
not everybody understands a library. Not everybody gets a book. It is called the Book of Life in the Bible, but it has nothing to do with religion. And for me, they have never showed me a library. Like it's just not something my brain can even wrap its head around. But there are people that's in my, especially in my program called Sacred Awakening, where I teach the Akashic Records, they have seen a library. And then I have people that are like just in a field of daisies. And I'm like, it's wonderful. And for me, I just see it as cosmic energy and sacred geometry. And so it's not, one way is not better than the other. It's what do you understand and how are they speaking to you for you to understand the information that they're sharing with you? And it's such a beautiful thing to witness.
Yeah, thank you for that. It just opened up a lot of doors for a lot of people that they thought it could only be this one way, that you're opening up the possibilities of how this communication and this frequency of I call it the other side of love, yet how that can be presented. And just because you're not seeing it that way doesn't mean that you're not doing it properly. So this has just opened up a lot of possibilities for people that thought, oh, well, this can't be me. As I said, would you join me in a mindful moment
Yes,
before we go into the live reading?
absolutely.
Okay, and for the listeners, as I always say, safety first. So please don't close your eyes if you're driving, yet the other prompts you can follow. So if you can get comfortable in your seating, and if it's safe to do so, gently close your eyes. And you're going to begin breathing in and out through your nose. And you're going to bring your awareness to watching your breath go in and out. You're not going to try and control your breath. You're just going to let the awareness and the breath guide you into your body. There may be some sensations or feelings coming up, and that's okay. Let them surface. You're safe to feel, you're safe to let go. Surrender the need to control, release the need to resist, and just be. Now, there may be some thoughts or to-do lists that have popped up in your mind, and that's okay. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath, creating space between the awareness and the thoughts, and dropping deeper into your body, being in the space of presence, of being. Again, more thoughts may have popped up. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath, beginning again, creating even more space between the awareness and the thoughts, and completely surrendering into the body, into presence, into being. Now, coming into your senses, into the present moment, at your own time and at your own pace, you're going to gently open your eyes while staying with your breath. And whenever you're ready,
How are you feeling?
great.
Wonderful. Do you have a question prepared?
I want to know, what are the possibilities of the future?
I love when the Guardians are a little sarcastic. They're saying To whom are you referring to? Are you referring to yourself or are you referring to the collective?
Good question. I'm referring to where am I to bring the gift and the knowing that I have into the collective while also supporting me as the individual.
I'm just writing this down. So
Yep.
if there's a moment of silence, um, where am I to bring the gift to the collective while you're still being supported? Okay, so I'm gonna go a little off. I'm gonna come back to the question, but they're wanting me to emphasize a word really quickly. So part of your question is where am I to bring the gift to the collective? And where they're wanting to go first is to talk about the collective, because the collective could be your soul tribe. The collective could be the sum of humanity. The collective can be one specific type of collective consciousness. And so that part of what they're wanting to emphasize just in the start of this reading is it's really important for you to start understanding what you're asking
Mhm.
and getting more precise in what you're asking. And this will help you bring your gift out even more into the world because you're lasering in on a very specific way you're wanting to work, the way you're wanting to bring your gifts out, the way that you're wanting to bring your message out. You're casting too wide of a net. And so that's even why they said, well, what do you mean by the first question? And what do you mean by this? And so for anybody that has, she's just like wiggling in her skin.
Okay, let me be specific. Um, the book that I'm writing, is this the time to release it?
Not yet. Not yet, because there's a few more. Are you done completely writing it?
No.
Okay, there's a few more stories in there that are pertinent that you add them. Like it's so they're so important that you add certain stories into it. And so, do you have like a deadline on when you're going to complete it by?
I wanted it completed by September because the
Okay,
14 chapters are done. I still have four more to like edit what I've written. There's one chapter that's very personal
okay,
that I've been advised by one person, my son, not to put that out because of the people that are involved. Yet
okay,
other people are, and I'm in the stance of me sharing this allows other people to see themselves in this experience and how to navigate and recognizing that I'm no longer to protect other people's well-being, that I can speak from my own experience and how it looks like to navigate through boundaries, through emotions, through letting go of the identities and really understanding that nervous system.
okay. So it's really important for you to set a writing schedule to complete it by the end of June.
Okay.
And there's some stories that are going to come in that will help you offset if you choose not to include that story,
Okay.
that
Are,
that
are,
chapter.
are these stories already lived experience or I'm going to
Yes.
experience? Okay, they're already lived
Their
experience.
lived experience, you just haven't connected the dots yet with
Okay.
them. They're saying some uncensored, just sit down and just start writing and say you're open to exploring the depths of your soul in the way you haven't before. And it's really
Okay.
important. I'm I'm willing to explore the depths of my soul like I haven't before because there's going to be stories that you haven't even thought of in years, in decades that are going to come forward and you're going to see some dots connect where they've they'll make sense and they'll tie everything together in a different way that in a beautifully unexpected way and it
Hmm.
will enrich your um they're wanting to call it a memoir.
Mhm.
It will enrich that. And then also they want to go back to what your son said. It's important to still listen to what he's saying and see what happens with these other stories because these other stories have the possibility. It's really important to like understand like if I do this, this is one possibility, right? So if you really go to those depths, these stories have the possibility of like literally taking out that story completely out of it and it enriches the whole book while still honoring what your son shared with you.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's not about dishonoring him because you're not dishonoring
No,
him
no,
in
no,
any way.
no.
But there's other stories that want to come forward, and
Okay.
I just see like your inner child like peeking around the corner, like really wanting to share some of her frustrations that she experienced. And I have no clue what your book is about, but they're saying like what she's telling me, your inner child, is that there's some frustrations from teenage and early childhood. So you can also pull her forward to share something with you that feels important for her to share.
Yeah. You see, chapter five, and I have to look back if I had written it. Chapter five, with that experience, it brought me back to my childhood experience, and I could understand why I was going through so much hurt right now, which I couldn't understand because it was mirroring the same exact thing that I went through, but it just looked different. Looked
Hmm.
where I was silenced and I wasn't believed and I wasn't supported and I wasn't protected. So it just looked a little different. So it allowed me to really go deep into that and release those emotional charges
Yeah.
and better understand why there's this longing of a sense of belonging. And then being able to recognize when it gets activated, I can be with that. It's not to grasp for it on the outside of myself.
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah. So, right. And write not with the intention of writing the book, but to just write and see, like, it's about going really deep into the soul because the soul has stories.
Mhm.
And your inner child is really wanting to be involved in these new stories that want to come forward. They're old stories, but they're new stories for you to have with a different perspective of where you're at in this moment in time. And your inner child will get some really beautiful healing from it because she's been holding on to this stuff for quite some time that she's really wanting to express. And it's almost showing me, they're showing me in like your words as you're writing, it's showing up as like color frequency.
Okay.
So I don't know if you work with color frequency or anything like that. But it's like you remember those old rainbow pens? That it would change, you could change the colors where it's almost like I could see it in cursive, but like it changes colors as you're just moving and you don't have to change out the ink. And so it's like depending on what you're writing, what you're channeling, what you're tuning into, the frequencies of the colors will also come through, which will also bring forward through your messaging. Even if you're typing, it's still going to bring forward these color frequencies that are super healing for the collective of who is reading your book. So going
Mhm.
back to what they were originally talked about, what collective are you talking about?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
collective of your book.
And that's where I got the intuitive hit of stop writing to convince people. It's just right, and those that are going to need it will come.
Yes. So it's like we're going to even shift it even more. It's like you're writing this to your younger self.
Okay, understood. Because that's one thing that I found difficult with writing. It's like, who's going to be interested in this? Yet there's a lot of depth, and it goes pretty profound, but there's a lot of practical in there so that people can better understand themselves
Yeah.
and using my lived experience to guide people through that journey. Yet it's now it's make like writing to yourself, it feels a little cathartic of, yeah, the healing part. There's still this little part of me in there. It's like, okay, but who's going to read that? Who's going to be interested in that? Just because of the collective society of, it still has to be marketable, it still has to be selling and all that, where it's like, no, this is something from the soul, and whoever is going to need it will need it. And I am one person that will need it, and then it'll grow from there.
Absolutely. Like sometimes like when I'm sharing stories, if one person benefits from that story, it's awesome, right? And so it's you already did the part where you're talking to the collective. The next things that you're writing is specifically designed for your healing. In turn, it will assist in healing the collective of who is wanting to gravitate towards that message, that healing, those words, those stories. And they're saying that captivation, because our words and our stories can be captivating to the point where the brain doesn't realize, wait, this was written for someone, this was written by someone else, but when words become captivating, a story becomes captivating, they see themselves in that story, and their brain cannot differentiate between what is theirs and what's the author's. And I'll give you an example because this was coming up when you were talking, is Elizabeth Gilbert. Elizabeth Gilbert wrote the book Eat, Pray, Love. She had an overwhelming success of people reaching out to her, talking to her, saying, like, that was my life, that was my story. And there was even a person that reached out to her that said, yeah, and when you left your abusive husband, she never left an abusive
Yeah, I
husband,
know.
but that person inserted her story because she was captivated
Hmm.
by the story. And so that's the thing about written words, even if they're typed out, the written words have these the power to heal because their words are like casting spells, right? And it's called spelling for a reason. And it's not that you're trying to cast spells, but words do matter. And the way that you put together words and the stories you put together this cohesive, energetic invitation to heal. And so
Hmm.
don't worry about if you are writing it for people to understand. The rest of the writing is specifically for you.
Okay.
You've already done all the hard work of like figuring out how to present it in a way where it's digestible and understandable, and like you're very poetic with your words and things like that. So you don't have to worry about that. Just write.
Why the deadline by the end of June?
It's I was asking that already. It's
'Cause I'm a little conflicted because it was like, okay, not right now is the book ready, and then it's like, but there's a deadline to get it done by the end of June. So,
it's the understanding of the question. You said, should I get this book out right away? So their perception of that question is, are we ready to bring it to shelf?
okay.
Okay. So to bring it into completion of writing, they would like you to complete it by the end of June, because then it gives you the rest of summer to not have this project looming over you, and it will allow you to have more fun.
Yeah, that's what I had in mind. The four other chapters to get it edited, get it the chunk of all that editing done, then pass it over to a human editor to do it. And I'd like to launch it by September, October, so that
Perfect.
it's out in that way. It's still a part of me that feels I guess the fear of putting myself out there and it not being received. Also, the vulnerability also of putting out stories and finally allowing myself to be seen not by others, but seen by myself, that I can share my story and not separate from myself, not dilute it and not minimize it. That I understand that there's a knowing and to trust in that knowing, to trust in that wisdom that I have and to present it without cowering and dimming myself because of ridicule or judgment or perceptions of others.
Yeah. So you are going to do great. Don't worry about any of that because they're saying it's a waste of time. Like you already wrote the majority of the book. Now just bring it to the finish line
Okay.
because you've done the hardest step, and the hardest step is putting yourself out there. Look what you're doing on a podcast. So, what's the difference between being it written versus being it spoken?
Hmm.
This is a long format show. Like when you're podcasting, YouTubing, any of that, it's long format, meaning it's always available to anybody unless you decide to delete it. So the book is long format. There
Hmm.
is zero difference between just the format itself in terms of written, spoken. And so this will also help your inner child, help you work through some of the things that the mental body is over processing and overthinking. The
Hmm.
other thing is do you have a marketing plan in place?
No.
Okay. So that is something you want to start working on.
Okay.
So there's many different ways that you can put yourself out there. I can get you in contact with someone that I know that guarantees bestseller. So there's all sorts of different book coaches and things out there, but you got to have a marketing plan, my dear.
Yeah, I know
So
that. I just haven't dived into that. That's why I was like, okay, human editor after to go, and then what does that marketing and what's that going to look like? Am I just going to do the Amazon? Am I gonna go to different like? Yeah, I haven't. Me, the concentration was get the book
get the
complete.
book done. And
As if
you're
I go too much to marketing, then the other things are fumbling, and I don't want to over stress myself with. But I also have to keep myself accountable with the momentum.
Yes, 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 yes. So if you want someone, I can refer you to someone that's fantastic.
Okay.
Otherwise, just start researching it. It's really important that you have a marketing plan in place. And it might shift when you launch, but your deadline for getting everything written is still the same.
Still the same, June.
Yeah.
Is there something that they want to know? Is there something that they want to tell me that I'm not aware of?
They're saying that peace can be found within the brain. So let me say that slightly different. You are really good at getting centered really quickly. And one of the things that you can do whenever you find that your mental body is overthinking something is say that mantra, peace is found within the brain. So it's not about like recentering, it's actually about redirecting the mind to find peace like it finds peace within the heart. And you'll hear people say, bring the head, bring the mind into the heart, right? That's like you understand that. It still doesn't mean that the mind cooperates.
Yeah.
And so your mental body is requiring something else for that centering, and that is peace is found within the mind is also found within the mind. So it's not saying like it's not found anywhere else, but it's also found within the mind. The mind can be at peace, and I'm inviting peace within my mind, within my mental body.
Another question is, should I be using my hands for healing?
So this is a yes or no question. Ask it differently. Ask it open-ended. Get more specific.
How can I use my hands for healing?
How can you use your hands for healing? One is physical touch is really important. And physical touch allows an electrical currency to happen between two people or between the practitioner and themselves. Similar to when a crystal touches a body, like it provides a beautiful charge of energy through the person's body with the crystal because it stabilizes energy. And so one of the ways that you can be using your hands is on yourself. So taking the time, 5 to 10 minutes a day to do some hands-on healing for yourself will actually take your hands-on healing practice to the next level, but it is not necessary for your business growth. And that's really important for you to understand
Yeah.
because you can touch people without physical touch. And so if you're wanting to grow your business with through only physical touch, like that's not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of going back to your question, this goes back to the whole theme of today is it's really important for you to get very specific on what you are actually wanting to understand so
Mm-hmm.
you know how to navigate differently and it's going to hold time for you. And so the specifics with this is physical touch for you is great, but in terms for your business and where you're going next, that is not going to be your predominant thing that you offer. Doesn't mean that you don't offer healings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I understand that because I always get told when I do place my hands on people how healing and do you teach this and and I'm like, I know this is I never learned it's all intuitive. It's been since I've been young. I've been always told to be using my hands, yet I understand the energy it takes. And I also understand that it limits me just with one person where my energy in the space that I can hold for others to go within themselves and connect with their nervous system and body is expansive.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like, for me, I have the same gift. Like, I love touching people. Like, it is one of my favorite things to do. But my business is primarily online. But I do host at least two in-person retreats a year. One's more intimate, one's bigger. And like, I'm getting ready next week to leave for our intimate retreat. And that is one of the things that I am looking forward to the most to do, but it is not a requirement for me to have a successful healing business.
Understood. Understood. Um, does Natalie have anything to say to me?
Are you referring to your higher self or who are you referring to?
A person.
Okay. I'm not getting any loved ones that are coming through for
True.
you. So that's why I wanted to clarify because I'm like, I'm
Were
not seeing
you
anybody.
talking about
Are you
you or are
talking
you
about
talking
you?
about, yeah, no, talking about a person that's transitioned.
Uh, I'm not seeing her, my dear.
Okay.
Let me just ask the guardians about that though. Um, it's it's not time for her to share yet. And
Okay.
so when it's time you'll know is what I'm getting.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything, is there anything that I can do to develop more of the confidence?
So let's reword that.
Okay.
What can I do to develop more
Confidence.
confidence?
Okay.
Your words matter.
I know they do.
And with how I teach my students too is everything's an open-ended question because if
Yeah.
you ask a yes or no question, it limits your ability to actually receive in-depth answers. And so, again, what was the question? So,
What are the, what can I do to develop more confidence?
oh, okay. Um, Set a business plan.
Okay.
They're showing me that you haven't fully done that yet. You have ideas, but you haven't fully like, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm doing it, this is the type of income I want to make, this is the type of impact I want to make. And impact before income is always important, but they're saying it's important for you already have the impact. You already know the impact you want to make, but you haven't clearly defined the income.
Okay.
So, and for anybody that's listening to this, I forgot to mention this in the beginning. Anything that I'm sharing with Nat, like that's for if you resonate with it, it's for you. Anything that doesn't, leave behind the rest. We're in a group setting, so anything that resonates, take it. Because it's sometimes when we're in group settings, that's important. But yeah, your business can be something truly spectacular, is what they're sharing with me. And it's really important for you to start really defining it, especially with this book that you're wanting to launch, because it's
Mhm.
a part of the whole.
Mhm. Yeah, I know. I know that I'm hiding. I know that the financial is one of the last fears that is blocking me and to really give it definition and call it out. I think, I understand um there's a part of me that understands that once momentum comes, that's a lot of energy. And I wonder if I can sustain that energy, that
Hmm.
attention. And then another part of me is possibly afraid of being seen and finally being
Absolutely.
validated with that.
Yeah, that's a very normal fear, like super normal fear. And like I also call that like fear of success.
Mhm.
So it's like you fear the level of success that you know you're capable of having. And so we do these things that keep us in the same energy frequency. And without you defining what type of money you want to make, it's hard for the universe to provide that to you.
Mhm.
And so, one of the stories that they're wanting me to share with you is something that I had to do before I started my business. Like, I had a really good, very successful previous career as a finance manager. And for a long time, I like feared that if I did this type of work, that I would never have the same lifestyle. Like I would never be able to make money that allowed me to have the freedom that I had in terms of being able to financially provide myself, minus the time that I had to work in order to receive that type of compensation because I worked a lot. And and so once I decided I was okay with making one third of what I was making, it allowed me to have the capability of working through that fear. And then this first time I actually offered like a coaching package for someone and they bought it, I realized I set my limits too low. And that like that was just a way to get me out of that fear
Mhm.
because I leaned into acceptance and surrendering to, okay, if I never make that much money ever again, it's okay because at least I'm doing something that I really enjoy doing and I'm happy.
Mhm.
And then once I saw what I was capable of doing because I was betting on myself, I was like, oh, I set my limits way too low. And I was able to replace all of my income in 13 months.
Mhm. Okay.
So your ability to provide yourself with for yourself is always available. It's just going to look different from chapter to chapter. And the question is, am I willing to bet on myself?
Mhm. And I've done it before, yet it was a different type of surrender. Now to leap again when there's something, it's like, oh, am I, because betting, it doesn't always come out the way that you want it to. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I know in my part, it's like, I don't want to endure pain and suffering again the way that I have in my life.
Yeah, totally get that. And you're going to look back on these days and you're going to go, wow, I miss those days of thinking about the silliest things that weren't even a part of the equation.
Yeah.
And like, this is some of the most exciting times when you're starting something like this because it's all fresh, it's all new, it's all different, and you don't know what you don't know. And you have the capability of making something tremendously successful in a way that can provide for you and your family in a way that you didn't think that was possible. And you're doing what you love and it's taking less time.
Understood. Got it.
So bet
I
on yourself.
yeah, I know.
And it's not like roulette. Like
Yeah.
you're not waiting for to, you're not having someone else spin the wheel.
Yeah. It's just to believe in myself and
Yeah,
know that I'll be supported.
because you're the one that's taking action. You're the one that's doing the things. Look at, you've already wrote the book. You know how many people say they're going to write a book and they don't?
But that was I was saying that for many years. I had it in different parts,
Yeah.
places written, but not, gathered all together and everything else. So that's where I'm like, you've been saying this for how many years? And like many people that I speak to, I've been hearing this for years. Like, why don't you have a book written? Like, I would buy it. Like, you should write a book. Like, you just speak it so naturally, and I understand it. Why don't you have a book? Why don't you have a book? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to write one. I'm going to write one. And now I actually put action to it and collected it, and it's almost at its process. And I see the little part that's like, maybe not. Maybe don't put it out. Maybe we don't need success and maybe we don't need to put it out, where it's like, no, this is going to benefit other people and
Yes.
you're allowed to shine your light. It's okay. I totally see and feel the part of the abandonment and rejection just is still holding on so tightly of, if you put this out, that will get hit. And it's like, yet, even if it gets hit, I know not to separate from myself,
Right.
that I'm still that one person. It's all nice to say that, yet to really embody that, I've
Hmm.
been embodying it. And I know that this is just another experience I have to step into to understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. And your guides, your team, and your loved ones are all going to root you on. So just do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just do it.
Is there anything else that they want to communicate?
No, they're saying this feels complete. Just you, you'll want to re-listen back to this and really take into consideration the whole theme of the message. So they're wanting me to really hammer that home, how your words really do impact in the way that you're questioning, the way that you're asking things, because that's going to also help you navigate the next steps with your business because you're more clear on what you're being more bold and precise on what it is that you're asking for and not tiptoeing around it. And that message is for a lot of listeners, like stop tiptoeing around it and get very specific because the only way the old version of you dies, and that can feel painful because we have many deaths in this lifetime. The only way the old version of you dies is by stepping into the new version. And the only way through is through.
See, and that's what chapter 5, me publishing it, will die an old version of me and choosing myself rather than being afraid of what my experience and what I went through will be, and letting go of connections that no longer serve, so that I can, rise to the becoming of who it is to choose myself and not
Yeah.
be choosing other people.
Yeah.
So that Okay, I know many listeners after this want to know, where can I get in contact with Amy? So could you let the listeners know where they can find you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, make sure you put the before it. It's theamyrobeson.com. That's TheAmyRobeson.com. If you do /free with it, so theamyrobeson.com /free, you can sign up for our free sacred gifts. There's 20 plus free healings in there. I also have a podcast called Awakening with Amy Robeson. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, Instagram, all those places. I do free group readings on YouTube every once in a while. And then we do like a free Akashic Record class as well, twice a year, and other free master classes as well. So the best thing to do is just get on my list and we'll let you know when something free is coming up because there's always something going on. So, yeah.
And do you have something intuitive that would empower the listeners?
Yeah, so going back to the idea that we're in a group setting, so whatever resonated with you in this reading, take it, whatever didn't, leave behind the rest. And the most important thing is to slow down to speed up, slow down your words, slow down your thoughts, slow down your actions. Because if you slow down and actually get in your body, in your mind, in your soul, in your spirit, in your heart, You'll see things that you normally don't see. You'll recognize your breath is shallow. You'll recognize that you're trying to move faster than your physical body actually wants you to. You'll recognize like, oh, my hip is out of balance. I need to like walk a little differently to offset that. Where instead, if your body is out of balance, moving slowly and getting into your body will help you realign the spine, realign the breath. And it also tells the mind and the physical body that they can work together and not be enemies. So let me say that, and they're saying frenemies, that they can actually, the mind and the physical body, the mind and the emotional body, the mind and the spiritual body, the mind and the inner child, the mind and the ego, they can all be friends. But it's this slowing down, this invitation to slow down, to speed up, because you're going to see things and be present in a way that you normally wouldn't be unless you're giving yourself permission to slow down. This is also where illusions get to be broken.
Mhm. My saying to a lot of people are slow and steady.
Hmm.
So that, we're taught to, well, when the nervous system is activated, it's always fight or flight. So everybody's impulsive and go, 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 where it's like, wait, if you slow down, there's so much more that you can take into the view and see certain things that you wouldn't be able to see if you're going too fast. That will actually better your journey and your ability. I want to thank you, Amy. This has been a delight. I thank you so much for sharing your gift with the world and with myself and being here
Thanks
and,
for having me.
honoring the listeners. Uh, Please remember to be kind to yourself.
Thank you.